Hello everyone, this is the Christmas fan and the YouTuber Pennywise Addict 27 had something to tell me on my YouTube channel. Nothing bad. He said it's confirmed It Chapter 2 is gonna have a post-credit scene. They're not doing a post-credit scene. I don't think they are. I looked on YouTube. I don't know. I don't see anything about that. And I looked on Google and it doesn't say anything about a post-credit scene. It doesn't say It Chapter 2 is going to have a post-credit scene. At least that's what I'm seeing so far. They're not. I don't see anything. I typed up It Chapter 2 on Google and looked at all the news, and it doesn't say It Chapter 2 is going to have a post-credit scene. Does not say that at all. So Pennywise Addict 27, that news is actually fake. I don't know who told you this, but that is fake. If someone ever tells you something like that, don't believe it until you hear it. Until everyone starts talking about it, then yeah, believe it. But until then, don't believe it. You know, you can't just trust one person. One person. People like to lie about things. Trust me. People like to lie. So whoever told you that, just tell them they're wrong. You went on Google, looked at all the news for It Chapter 2 information. There's nothing to be heard about a post-credit scene. And I don't think It Chapter 2 is going to have a post-credit scene. Like, if they're going to do a third movie, guys, I don't want them to do a third movie if it's going to suck. Plus, if they're going to try doing their own thing with a third movie, here's the problem. If they do a third movie, how is it going to be better than the first one? Like, I haven't seen It Chapter 2 yet. And guys, guys, here's the thing. They're calling it Chapter 2 because they're going to Stephen King's book, from Stephen King's book. There's more than 2 chapters in Stephen King's. There's more than 2 chapters in Stephen King's book. They're just taking things from the book and putting it into Chapter 2. Literally. They're taking the scariest parts from Stephen King's book. They're putting the scariest parts and the best parts in It 2. It is It 2. It's not. They're calling it It Chapter 2 because that's how the book is. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter whatever. They're just doing that from the book. It's It 2. They're just calling it It Chapter 2. Because there's a book. So, that's the only reason. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. If Andy Muschietti makes a third movie and he can somehow make it better than the second movie, I'll believe that when I see it. I mean, It Chapter 2 is supposed to be better than the first one. It is. The director said it's either going to be just as good, if not better, than the first movie. And it's going to be better. Most likely better, because first of all, this movie's going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes, almost 3 hours long. It's going to feel like the first movie, but different at the same time. And there's going to be, they already confirmed this. There's going to be a lot more Pennywise in Chapter 2. So I'm hoping we get to see Pennywise talk more, because we want to learn about Pennywise, don't we? We want to learn about him. We want to learn more stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to just see him attacking. We want to see him talk a bit more, because, you know, we want to find out. And that's probably why we're going to see more Pennywise. We got to find out more about him. And that's a good thing. I'm glad that we're going to see more Pennywise. And it just gets me excited. Because chapter 1 was really good, but the fact that there's going to be more Pennywise in chapter 2, and Pennywise is supposed to be more aggressive, more angry, more scary in chapter 2. The movie in general is supposed to be more scary too, and more intense, and more epic. And Andy Muschietti said he's making the adults feel like the child, the kid versions. He said he's making them feel like the kids again, but he's also making them feel like adults at the same time. And I felt like Stephen King's version of chapter 2, he forgot to have that kid personality going into the adult versions of the actors. So I'm glad Andy Muschietti is doing that, and it just gives me hope for this movie. You know? I wouldn't say this movie is going to be just as good as the first one. It's going to be better than the first one. And honestly, guys, if they're going to do a post like Pennywise a Dick 27, I'm sorry, man, but wherever you got that news, I haven't even heard of that news yet. I was just looking at the news today for It Chapter 2, if they put anything up about the screening, if they put anything new up. Because It Chapter 2 is premiering tomorrow at 7 p.m. and you know what? I can't be any more excited. Like, I think I know what the opening scene's gonna be, but maybe I'm wrong. Here's the 3 scenes that are gonna be the opening scene. Either the old lady scene, the scene in the trailer where Pennywise has the deadlights and he's talking to the little girl, he goes, "Hello." Or it's the scene in the trailer where you see the guy saying, "Help me," and he's like drowning in the bloody water, and Pennywise is like this, bringing the guy to him. That could be the opening scene. One of those scenes is going to be the opening scene. One of those scenes. Most likely not the old lady scene, but if it is, that's going to be awesome. I feel like it's either going to, I think it's definitely going to be the scene either when Pennywise is saying hello, or when the guy is either saying, "Help me," and he's drowning in the bloody water. It's going to be either those 2 scenes, but it might be the old lady scene, but we don't know yet because the movie's not out. But I woke up not too long ago, so I'm still kind of tired. So, but, you know, I just can't see them making a 3rd movie. I mean, it's possible, but I don't want them to make a 3rd movie if they can't make it better than the first one and the second one combined. Like, that's what they're going to have to do if they're going to make a chapter 3. Like, Andy Muschietti doesn't even said he does not really know if there's going to be a chapter 3. He's not for sure. He said there might be, but he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't really know. he doesn't know if they're going to have any ideas. And the problem is, they're either going to have to do a prequel or a sequel. I want them to do a sequel. I want them to have it way far in the future, like not futuristic, but a lot farther into the future. That's the only way they're going to have to do it. 27 years later, after the second movie, again. Now, they could do the same thing with Chapter 4. What if they made Chapter 4 and Chapter 5? Like, we don't know. Like, now, if Chapter 2 says It Chapter 2, okay, the first movie said It Chapter 1. What if at the end of It Chapter 2, the last scene said It Chapter 2? That confirms an It Chapter 3. So if that happens, there's going to be Chapter 3. But it's probably not going to be. It's probably going to be, something like now if there is a Chapter 3 getting made, here's what I have a feeling will happen. Chapter 3 is going to be getting made. They're going to start shooting. They're going to start filming, and it's going to get canceled. I bet you right now that's either going to happen or the movie's going to release and it's not going to be good. Because they have no chance of making Chapter 3 better. I mean, if Andy Muschietti can somehow come up with his own versions of monsters, or here's what I think they could do. If the monsters that they don't put in Chapter 2, if they do this, add them to Chapter 3. But if they're going to make Chapter 3, it has to be scarier. That's the thing. It has to be scarier. It has to be. And if they end up making Chapter 4 and Chapter 5, they have to keep getting scarier and scarier. But here's the thing. Just because they're a scarier movie doesn't mean they're the better movie. It doesn't mean that at all. If Chapter 2, someone knocked something down the stairs. But if Chapter 2 is going to be better than the first one, which it will be, and it's more successful than the first one, which it will be, if everything is going to be better about It Chapter 2, for sure. There's going to be a lot in It Chapter 2 that's going to go down, and it's going to be intense and terrifying. See, I didn't say this about the first movie. Chapter 2 is more of an adult movie. It's more of a serious movie. So it's going to be scarier and probably better. So if It Chapter 2 does all this, is this amazing movie, and it's really successful and all that, and they do make a Chapter 3, it has to be better than Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It has to be scarier than Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It has to be more intense than Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. The acting has to be just as good, if not better. The scenes have to be shot well. The tone of the movie has to be, if not better than the first movie and the second one, if not just as good. Pennywise has to be scarier. The things he turns into have to be scarier. The movie has to be more epic, more intense as well. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem. Because here's the thing you guys aren't realizing. Andy Muschietti, they're giving it all they got with this one. So they're not going to make a Chapter 3. There's no point. It really is pointless. If they're going all in with this movie, they're going full tear with this movie. I'm not joking. The director said that himself. He's going full tear with this movie. He's doing whatever he can to make this movie better, if not just as good. But they're making it scarier. So that's the problem, guys. They're going full tear in. So there's really no point of making a chapter 3, and I know some of you guys want a chapter 3. But take in mind, if they make a chapter 3 for whoever wanted a chapter 3, not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Just thinking about that is not a good idea. Because chapter 2 is going to be so insane. It's going to be a roller coaster ride. And a very scary roller coaster ride. So why do we need a third movie? There's people at my work that are going to see It Chapter 2, and they said there doesn't need to be a third chapter. There really doesn't. My cousin that works at my work said he doesn't want to see a chapter 3. And I understand. Stephen King himself doesn't even want them to make a third chapter. He doesn't. It's pretty obvious he does not want to see a third chapter. But the guy at I work with this guy, Jeff, and he's a really nice guy. And he said he said the only way I want them to make a third chapter is if they do a prequel or a sequel. And I said to him, this is what he told me, if it was set in the future, 27 years later after the second movie, they would have to get the kid actors again. They would. And that's the problem. There's really no way of making chapter 3. And they're not doing this on purpose. There's no way of doing a chapter 3. And, I think it's for the good. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be mad after this video uploads, but for the people out there that are real horror fans will know that making a sequel from the first movie is hard to do. And then making another sequel, that's even worse, because then you got to worry about, is it going to be better? Is it going to be scarier? Is the acting going to be better or just as good? Is Pennywise going to suck in chapter 3? Is the story going to suck? Is it going to be a boring movie? You got to worry about all this. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think of this video in the comments down below. Comment in the comments, what do you guys think they should do? Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys in another horrifying